Hi, I want to thank everyone participating in this training webinar. To learn more about the Cube Programmer feature and how it can help Delta partners streamline the process of creating control databases. So I would like to start with a little bit of a recap of what the Cube Programmer is and what is the intention behind this feature. A Cube Programmer is a feature that allows controls contractors to extract the information that comes from a Visio drawing or controls drawing. Then that information is going to be moved up to our platform. The user can set that information in a manner that can be exported to a controls hardware. In this particular case, I'm showing the Delta Controls Intelliweb front end. However, it can be used with any other control systems that have the ability to generate those inputs, outputs, and backnet objects using external interface. To put the Cube Programmer in context, let's review where does this feature fits on the overall workflow of a controls contractor. I mean, looking at a typical workflow from a controls contractor company, everything starts with the estimate, then you create a submittals, then submittals are approved, you proceed to create coordination drawings, design your panels, and then you have to create the databases that will be inside the controllers. So using the programmer not only are going to help you increase speed and reduce time, but one of the real benefits of doing this is the elimination of errors that you're not going to have because you now are not going to create anything manually. Now, to demonstrate this capability, I'm going to select an existing project from Cube, which means that this project has been estimated, has been designed, is already in Microsoft Visio. We already have the drawings, and now we are at the programming phase of the project. Now I'm going to access the programmer. I'm going to search for a project that I want to use for this presentation, and in this particular case I'm going to select this system right here. Okay, now that I have the system open, the first thing that I want to show you is these new alarms that are showing into the screen. Why those alarms are showing is because Cube is letting you know that you have issues with this database. For example, in this particular case, I know that the airflow measuring station is repeated. So what's going to happen is that when we send this to the database, there is going to be a conflict. So before we go and have a conflict, we want to make sure that these issues are corrected before we send this to the database. We also added the tags next to the name, so you know exactly which of these ones are. In this particular case, this airflow measuring station application node is for an outside air, and this one is for the supply air. Now, what I'll do is that, and new again, is we added the ability for you to make changes from the grid. I'm going to save it, and now my changes are gone. Okay, now that I remove all the errors, I'm going to proceed to set up my database, my objects. First, I will start by selecting all of my objects here. I'm going to click on Edit Selected, and the edit screen will show all the objects available on this database. The first thing that I will do is that I will tell what unit this is, and now we have the ability to apply the prefix to all the points at the same time. Then I'm going to select all my trend logs. This is new as well. We have the ability to check all of the items at once. I'm going only to show now the trend logs, all of them, and then I'm going to click here some set points, and then I'm going to select maybe a controller for the chill water valve actuator, and then I'm going to put the schedule to the supply fan start stop. Now, once I do that, I also going to show you that all those changes have been applied to that particular, to all the different objects. Now moving on to the next tab, where I already have all my programs created In this particular case, you can see that we have all our inputs, outputs, analog values, binary inputs, all the turn locks associated with the units. And as I showed you before, we now have the ability to create additional BACnet objects, which right now I'm going to click on this item. I'm going to select this is for an air handler unit. And now I have the ability to add all of them. In this particular case, I'm going to tell Cube, give me all these items here. I'm going to click on add. And as you can see, all my objects were created. All these analog values were automatically created. I'm going to enter all of them simply because I can. It doesn't cost me anything. This is going to be created automatically. So now this actually completes the setup process for the for this database, and now I'm going to move on to the Intelliweb side, or the programming side of this process. Now the Cube module can be accessed from the pass page on Delta Controls. Now I'm going to move into Intelliweb to demonstrate the final part of this new feature. Before I move on, quick note, you have to upgrade your module. Once you download it, the version from Intelliweb has to match the version on the Cube module, and you have to do that upgrade on the Manage module part of the Intelliweb. Now from the Intelliweb side, I'm in the navigator, and I have a controller here to demonstrate this feature. It's empty, doesn't have any points created. Then I will proceed to access the Cube integration module shown here. I will click on my estimates, and I'm already logged in. If you're not logged in, you have to use your Cube credentials to log in and access your cloud files. I will select the project, and in this particular case, I'm going to double click on it. Then I will proceed to select the area. As previously shown, we have all the units here. I'm going to proceed to select my unit. Before I do that, I want to show you all the points associated with the unit that were pre-configured. And as you can see here, all these objects have been transferred to the Intelliweb site and ready to be programmed. Now, I'm going to do next is, and I'm going to click on this arrow. My unit is being sent to the programming site. Then I'm going to associate which controller I want to program. In this particular case, I am matching the same controller that I have on my navigator with the same address. And once I do that, I will click on Program Controller, and the database will start to be created. When the process is done, I'll have here, it will indication that is 100% created. Successfully completed, and now I can access the system in the navigator. Now let's take a deep look at what we got. The beautiful thing now is Cube already changed the name of the controller itself. That's a new feature in the new Intelliweb. We also have all the, as before, all the AICs and BDCs associated with the point, which is nice. I don't have to do that and waste my time or spend time changing those objects. But one of the things that I really want to touch on is the fact that, as you can see here, all my variables are created. So imagine that, let's say that you take 30 seconds a point, you don't have to do that, and basically in a large database with a lot of ABs and BBs, you will be saving a tremendous amount of time. We also have all the units associated with it. Is an improvement from the previous version. Before, you had to put the units manually, and now Cube does that for you if you pre-configure that correctly. So another big item that we actually, it's saving us a lot of time, is the fact that now all the turn locks come pre-configured. For example, an analog input, which is associated with the turn lock, we are putting a pulling interval, a pulling setting on 10 minutes. And if you are associating a binary output or a binary input with the trend lock, we by default put it as a change of value. this was a big request for many of our customers, because let's say you have 100 trend locks, you had to go back and set them up. Now everything comes pre-set up from Cube. Now, I mentioned this before, but I want to go over again, is the fact that now we created the ability for you to, in addition to what we previously had, now you can create objects like the control loops, optimum start. I show you binary values, multi variables, and you can also create the PG object. You can create the object, not the program itself. You're still working on that. But basically, you're going to be able to generate the objects inside the controller. Now, as you can see here, we have all the ABs. We also have the control object here. I'm going to open it for you to take a look at. In this particular case, we have the input associated with it. In the next coming release, we're going to associate and allow you to create basically all the configuration, whether it is PI loop, PID loop. All this is going to be pre-configured depending on the application from Cube itself. All the base work is there. We're going to be doing that in the next release coming down the line. So my friends, that's it. This concludes this presentation. This is one of the many features that are coming down the line with Cube Edge. Our team is very excited. I am very excited to show you and bring these new features to you. As always, we want to give you the competitive advantage that you need to strive and beat your competition and be better in your market. As always, if you have questions, email our team at support@cube-usa.com. I want to thank you, and always remember to work smarter, not harder. Thank you very much. You have a great day.